Congratulations, you made it through week 1. Now it's time to move on. So this week we're going to talk about themes in social studies. So let's get started. The first theme in social studies is geography, and that's really setting the scene for the story that we're going to tell. So geography is the study of the world. I know, a big subject, right? So even though it's the world, still we can kind of break it down so it's not so difficult to remember. This is going to include landforms, water features, climates, and resources. It's also going to be the study of how people interact and alter the world around them. The place and the setting in the world, like landforms and climate, can very significantly influence where people live. So where people decide that they're going to settle down. And most of the time, this is going to be based off of a place's resources. Resources help shape the economy, society, and politics of Texas. Not just Texas, but really of the whole world. There are two different types of resources: renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources regenerate themselves very rapidly. That means very quickly. They come back. Non-renewable resources are resources that, it's not that they don't come back, it just takes a very, very long time for them to renew themselves. So some examples of renewable resources. By resources, we mean sources of energy. So some renewable sources of energy are sun and soil, wind and rain, plants and animals. Some examples of non-renewable resources. So those are those energy sources that don't come back very quickly. Really, it's a lot of things that are made out of fossil fuels and renew themselves in the soil or under the ground. They're oil, coal, minerals, natural gas, and metals. Texans and people in general have a tremendous impact on the landscape of Texas, and this usually depends on how they use their resources. Do they use renewable resources or non-renewable resources? Do they try to conserve the environment? Our next theme is economics. Economics is the study of how people make a living. So how do people manage their money? I like to call it make money, spend money. So what are people doing to make income, and then how are they spending that income? And then that expands into how is the state making money and spending money, and then how is the United States making money and spending money, and then how do people in the world make money and spend money? So what are some examples of that and how Texans earn a living? We'll talk about it in class. Be ready. Our next theme is not a bad word. It is also not a good word. It's just a word. It's called government. Government is the structure that people set up to provide order and security in their lives based off of their worldview. So they're going to value security over freedom or freedom over security. So be thinking about what you value more. Are you willing to give up some of your freedoms in order to feel safe? Or are you willing to give up some of your feeling of safety in order to feel free? Our next theme is citizenship. Citizenship means belonging to a particular country or a society. Being a citizen means that you have rights and you have responsibilities. That means you have freedoms that are protected, but you also have things that you have to accomplish because you are a citizen. So what are a few of your basic rights? Culture has to do with how people live. It is literally a way of life. So that is the social part of social studies. So culture can be a set of knowledge, beliefs, and customs, which are routines that a group of people share, or it could be just what one group of people eat all the time. Food is one of my favorite examples of culture. So what are a few of your examples of culture? Our last theme is history, and history is the study of change over time. That's how we get different events, because different things happen over periods of time. When we study history, we use eras, which are what a period of time is called, in order to help us organize the information. It helps us remember when things happened a little bit easier. The next thing's not a theme, but it's called human rights, and we like to study this because you are human. So what are human rights? If you don't know your rights, do you still have them? Be ready to talk about those two questions in class or whenever you stop watching this video and we talk together. Here are just a few examples of what the world recognizes as basic human rights. You have freedom, peace, equality, dignity, hope, love, education, prosperity, justice, food, religion, and speech. This next thing is also not a theme in social studies, but it's something we have to understand whenever we look at social studies. It helps us to understand people a little bit better, and that is to look at different types of communities. So we're going to look at one word to describe each of these communities. For rural, we would want to use the word country. For suburban, we would want to use the word neighborhoods, and then urban, we'd want to use the word city. For a rural community, what that means is that it's outside of the city limits, there is a low population, and usually they are tied with agriculture. Suburban is usually a higher population, but it's the working community that they work inside of the city, but their homes are built a little bit outside of the city limits. So it's in between that rural and urban community. And then the urban communities are where most of the jobs are. That's where people commute to go to work. And of course, an urban setting is always going to be the most populated setting. Next, we're going to play a little game and figure out if you can spot which of these different pictures are representing a rural, suburban, and urban community. So kind of track it somewhere. Here are the pictures.